Howdy folks, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be setting up a tarp shelter. So I'll be using this cheap Amazon 10 by 12 tarp. I've cut all the D-rings off of this and just left the cloth lanyards, as well as caulked the seams with silicone so it's a little more weather repellent and waterproof. It's a pretty decent little tarp. It has it's not perfectly rectangular. It's kind of irregular a little bit, but anyway, it has, like, going across the diagonals, it has attachment points. So I'm not going to be talking while I do this. I'll just do the voiceover later on because the tarp gets very rustly and it's annoying in the background of the video, so I'll tone that down a little bit. So let's get on it. So the first step in all this is laying out the tarp. I'm really laying it out with the grommets up and the diagonal facing the tree. And those little trees all around me are persimmon trees, which are not real common around here. And another name for them is possum haul. I guess possums like them. I think it takes any longer to lay the tarp out than it does to actually set this thing up, but that's okay. I'm putting one of the corners of the tarp facing the tree and the other one facing down the hill. This spot I probably wouldn't actually set up on to camp at. It's just a little too sloped, but for demonstration purposes it works just fine. So I'm showing there that it's the third point in that the tarp is tied to the main line rope, and I want to count off and go to the third one, and then I'm going to about 2 feet of rope hanging out there. And then I'm going to go about eye high, which is between 5 and 6 foot. I'm about 5'10", so you do the math. It's not real precise. If you put it further than 2 feet away from the tree, what happens is the tarp winds up very low to the ground, and you don't have enough room to sit up in. But about 2 foot, and you have just enough room. You could tie it a little closer too. So from here, I'm just pulling up the tension, and the tarp came with 4 little red stakes, and that'll work. They go through the fabric grommets better than my wooden ones, so I use my wooden ones for the parachute cord tie outs. So just get that good and tight and stake that in. I come up the side here, and what I want to do is fold in the bottom. Now you could stretch that all the way out if you wanted to do a much larger shelter that had to sleep 3 or 4 people, but in this case it's just for me or possibly 2 people. So fold that under, and then I'm going to use my wooden stake here and tap that down. That's my cat in the background. So it's already starting to look like a tent, and we've been on it for 2 minutes, so I think it works pretty well. Alright, got to move the camera over to the other side so you can see what's going on here. And I guess it was some string that was just left in the bag, so that can stay over there. And alright, so same idea as the other side. I wish there was a grommet point between the two there. I'm kind of on the third one in, just like I did the ridge beam, but this works. I just basically have to tie a little piece of parachute cord there and create a lead line to make that work. And then now I'm just going to start pulling it out. So there's quite a bit of extra fabric here that's too much for the door. So what I want to do is just pull that out to make the tent that much longer. So just about set up now. I just got to work on the door a little bit more and then get the floor straightened out. So I'm just going to pull this up and run one more stake in, just like I did on the other side, just to make the tent that much longer. And there happens to be a grommet in just about the right place there, so I don't have to do too much overthinking of this. Alright, so now it's time to get the floor straight. Tuck the door up over top, and something else, you could stake that door down from the inside to make it really, really secure if you were dealing with high winds or something like that. But just, you pull the 2 ends together. Now that does leave a seam line down the middle. There's a little bit of overlap on these, and that's not bad, but it's something to be aware of. There's no way around it. I guess you wouldn't want to stake it down because, I mean, you're laying on it, and laying on stakes wouldn't be much fun. But you could weight it down with like a sleeping pad or something like that. So enough room to sit up in there and plenty of room to lay down in there. There's several feet left over on either side and up by my head region. So now I'm just going to fix the door and then show that you can get in from this side a little bit instead of having to have that much open if you were trying to bug proof. So like that, but the main thing there that I'm thinking about is I don't want water, if it was in a heavy rainstorm, running down and inside. So one thing I'm going to do here is just move this stake back a little bit because it's not quite enough tension there. So that's okay. That's just a minor adjustment. Stick that down and I'll solve the door issue. And I've got one more stake left, so I'm going to go ahead and use it here just to kind of bring that in, and then I can go in and out of the shelter where my left hand is. There's still enough opening to shimmy through there and even get a pack through. So right there, no problem. And then when you tuck it up, make sure that one layer is overlapping the other so that water can't just run down between the two of them. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. That's my homebrew tarp shelter. I've never seen one like it, but then again, I'm sure people have figured out this exact same design before because it seems pretty logical. If you're sitting around trying to come up with your own tarp shelter, use a piece of paper. Just cut a square and start folding it and come up with some good ideas that way. Catch you later.